Inflation, what's next? Before the pandemic of COVID-19, the economy of the United States was recovering from the credit crisis of 2008. The major U.S. stock indexes reached new all-time highs on many occasions from 2017 to 2019. Stocks were trading in record territory, and therefore the economy and the dollar became stronger. The United States inflation rate was around 2% in 2019 before the pandemic. But what is inflation and how it affects the economy? Inflation is a general increase in the price of goods and services over a while. It is usually measured by the Consumer Price Index. The main factors that can cause inflation are an increase in aggregate demand, an increase in aggregate supply, and a depreciation of money. The main problem that inflation causes are that the prices of goods and services will be higher than they should be. This occurs when the price of goods and services is not being adjusted to keep up with the increase in inflation. Inflation also causes problems for those who are paying off debts, because the amount owed will become more expensive with the time. According to Forbes Advisor, there are mainly 3 ways inflation hurts consumers and the economy. The first one is less purchasing power. With less purchasing power, you can't buy as many goods and services as you used to before inflation. A Forbes advisor said that the quality of living will diminish over time. People will think to spend their money more wisely. They will spend more money on food and gasoline instead of traveling and entertainment. The second one is fewer savings. When you must spend more money to buy goods and services, you have less money from your salary to save. You are more vulnerable to dealing with financial emergencies and must rely on your credit cards or loans to pay bills during an emergency. Even if you have some money saved for an emergency, it might not cover a financial crisis because during inflation, money decreases purchasing power. The third one is the loss of goods and services. During inflation, some companies do very well, but most businesses are greatly affected by high production prices and the lack of customers who want to buy products or services at such a high cost. The Federal Reserve in the United States is the institution responsible to monitor inflation. According to Investopedia, the Fed has an inflation target of approximately 2% and adjusts monetary policy to combat inflation if prices rise too much or too quickly. The Fed tries to control inflation through monetary policy to avoid a catastrophe in the economy. If inflation rises higher than 2%, the Fed usually raises the fund rates to slow the economy's growth and lower inflation. If inflation is under 2%, the Fed often lower interest rates to motivate consumers to borrow money to keep the economy moving. Inflation can destroy businesses, savings, and retirement plans, and increment unemployment and poverty if the Fed doesn't do anything to manage it. Why is inflation so high? Many factors have driven inflation so high, such as the pandemic. The COVID-19 forced millions of people to stay in their houses and demand products while there was a shortage of employees to produce them. Flood of economic stimulus given by the government during the pandemic. It increased the money supply, driving up the cost of goods and services. Supply chain issues, caused by labor shortages and rising wages. The war in Ukraine. Russia's invasion of Ukraine increased the price of gas and difficult food supplies. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, cut oil production by 2 million barrels per day. They claimed that their decision was based on the weakening global economy and interest rate hikes in many Western countries. How to deal with inflation? The best way to deal with inflation is to plan your budget and reduce your expenses. Building a plan for your budget is essential to be effective and efficient within inflation. This plan should guide you to manage your budget through a set of rules. For example, this plan should help you to limit discretionary spending, reduce consumption, postpone your vacation, and delay big purchases such as a car or a house. Inflation can make household budgeting a challenge for many people, and a plan can help you cut unnecessary expenses. What is next after inflation? According to an article written by Sarah O'Brien on CNBC.com, 76% of adults are making lifestyle changes to prepare for a potential recession. Adding to this information, The chief executive of JP Morgan Chase, the largest bank in the US, told at a conference in London last October that a very serious mix of challenges was likely to push both the US and global economies into a recession by the middle of next year, CNBC reported. A recession is an economic downturn where a country's GDP falls for 2 or more consecutive quarters. Many factors can contribute to the occurrence of a recession, such as high interest rates, low consumer spending, and high inflation. Many economists predict that we will see a recession in 2022. A few of these predictions have been made by experts who have accurate predictions in the past. One prediction was made by Nouriel Roubini, who predicted the 2008 financial crisis before it happened and was also one of the people who predicted the US's Great Recession in 2007 to 2008. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.